So now we have the Annate. This is the Riserva 2004, and it's Cabernet Sauvignon. In fact, it's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. So what I've got here is a chance to look just at the single grape variety and ask ourselves, what about Dio Somontano make this different than other Cabernet Sauvignon? So what we're looking for, of course, is that wonderful combination of ripeness that we get from elevation and a little bit of crispness, or let's call it what it is, a slight lack of ripeness that's also courtesy of elevation. And I certainly get that. I get plenty of ripeness. Don't get me wrong. This is very much in the nose about ripe Cabernet Sauvignon. It's not pure ripeness, though, as I would expect out of, let's say, some New World spots where it's just warm and not elevated. Instead, what I get is black cherry, black plum, a little bit of that cedary note. And indeed, I also get some red fruits, crushed red currants, things like that, that I really wouldn't expect out of, let's say, Napa Valley or someplace like that. There's also one other note that I want to try to talk about here, and maybe it's a little bit personal because, wine is personal. Let me get by with that one, right? But I remember in this part of Spain running into fennel flowers. The fennel plant has little flowers, and I used to call them caramel flowers because I could crush them in my fingers and smell them, and it smelled a little like caramel. It smelled a lot like fennel, too, not surprisingly. Give it a whiff. I think there's fennel and licorice in this thing. And I don't think it's the Cabernet talking. I think it's the plants talking. Now maybe it's not that particular plant, and maybe you can find a little note of caramel in there. I think the key here is that what we're talking about is an entire category of flavors that the French at least have given a name for. They call it garrigue. And now let's face it, Somontano, we're up in the foothills of the Pyrenees, but we're Mediterranean as well, or at least have plenty of Mediterranean influence. And you think about those plants that grow there, and the term garrigue is applied to southern French wines along the Mediterranean, and it is the plants, the herbs, that add a distinct flavor. And I think it happens in a lot of places, and I think it happens here. And maybe I've been killing time now in your mouth. Do you feel it? It's almost like caramel. It's almost like fennel and licorice. And I think it's not the Cabernet talking. I think it's Somontano talking to the Cabernet.